The stagecoach lurched to a stop in front of the dusty hotel. And when the door opened, a woman tumbled out more than stepped, her dress torn at the shoulder, her face painted with bruises in shades of purple and yellow that made the driver look away in shame. Yreka, California had seen its share of trouble in the spring of 1875, but the sight of Amelia Parker stumbling onto the wooden boardwalk made even the hardened miners stop their conversations. She clutched a small cloth bag to her chest, the only possession she seemed to own, and her eyes darted around the street like a cornered animal searching for the next blow. Ryan Yates had been loading supplies onto his wagon when he saw her fall. He moved without thinking, his long legs carrying him across the rutted street in seconds. She flinched when his shadow fell across her, throwing up an arm to protect her face. "Easy now," he said, keeping his voice low and steady the way he did with spooked horses. "Nobody's going to hurt you here." Her eyes, green as spring grass, met his for just a moment before she looked away. Up close, he could see the bruises extended down her neck, disappearing beneath the collar of her dress. His jaw tightened, but he kept his expression calm. "Can you stand?" he asked. She nodded, but when she tried to push herself up, her legs shook so badly that Ryan reached out to steady her elbow. She jerked away from his touch. "I am sorry," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "I do not mean to be trouble." "You are not trouble," Ryan said firmly. He stood slowly, giving her space, and gestured to the hotel behind her. "You have a room there." She shook her head, and he saw tears gathering in her eyes that she blinked away with fierce determination. "No money for a room," she said. "I thought perhaps there might be work. I can clean or cook or so. I am a hard worker." Ryan studied her for a moment. She could not have been more than 22 or 23, thin as a rail beneath that torn dress, but there was steel in her spine despite the trembling. Something in his chest shifted. "I've got a ranch about 5 miles outside town," he said. "My housekeeper just left to care for her sick mother back east. I need someone to help with the cooking and keeping the place in order. Room and board included, plus wages." She looked at him with such suspicion that it broke his heart a little. "Why would you help me?" she asked. "You do not know me." "No, I do not," Ryan agreed. "But I know what a person looks like when they are running from something bad, and I know that everyone deserves a chance to start over. That is what this territory is supposed to be about, is not it?" Amelia was quiet for a long moment, weighing her options. She had traveled for 3 weeks to get here, spending the last of the money she had taken when she fled Denver in the dead of night. Her husband, if she could still call him that, would be looking for her. Marcus had connections, money, and a mean streak that grew wider with every drink. The last time he had hit her, she had seen her own death in his eyes. "I work hard," she said finally. "I will earn my keep." "I do not doubt it," Ryan said. He picked up his hat from where it had fallen in the dust and brushed it against his leg. "Let me finish loading these supplies and we will head out. Are you hungry?" She did not answer, but her stomach did, growling loud enough that even the noise of the street could not hide it. Ryan smiled, and it transformed his whole face from stern to something softer. "Come on. The restaurant here makes a decent steak. We will get some food in you before we go." Amelia followed him, keeping a careful distance, still ready to run if this turned out to be another trap. But when they entered the small restaurant and Ryan pulled out a chair for her, then took his own seat across the table rather than next to her, she felt the smallest bit of tension ease from her shoulders. The waitress brought coffee and water without being asked, and Ryan ordered 2 steak dinners with all the fixings. "I cannot afford this," Amelia said quietly. "I am buying," Ryan said. "Consider it part of your employment. Cannot have my housekeeper fainting from hunger." When the food came, Amelia tried to eat slowly, to maintain some dignity, but she was so hungry that she could not help herself. Ryan pretended not to notice, keeping his attention on his own plate and occasionally commenting on the weather or the ranch. "It is not fancy," he said, "but the house is solid and the land is good. I run about 200 head of cattle plus some horses. Got 3 ranch hands who live in the bunkhouse. They are good men, respectful. If any of them gives you trouble, you tell me." Amelia nodded, soaking up the last of her gravy with a piece of bread. "What kind of trouble are you running from?" Ryan asked, his voice gentle. She froze, the bread halfway to her mouth. "I do not mean to pry," he continued, "but if someone comes looking for you, I should know what to expect." Amelia set the bread down carefully. "My husband," she said, the word tasting like poison. "In Denver, he has a temper." Ryan's eyes flicked to the bruises on her face and his jaw clenched. "He did that to you, and worse," she whispered. "I tried to be a good wife. I tried everything. But nothing was ever right, and the drinking made it worse, and I knew if I stayed, he would kill me." "You were right to leave," Ryan said firmly. "And I give you my word, as long as you are on my property, no one will hurt you again. Not him, not anyone." The certainty in his voice made something inside Amelia crack. She had been holding herself together through sheer will for so long, and this kindness from a stranger was almost too much to bear. A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. "I am sorry," she said, brushing it away quickly. "I am not usually so weak." "Crying does not make you weak," Ryan said. "You traveled hundreds of miles alone to escape a man who beat you. That is about the bravest thing I can think of." They finished their meal in companionable silence, and then Ryan paid the bill and led her out to his wagon. He had loaded it with flour, sugar, coffee, and various other supplies. He helped her up onto the seat, careful not to touch her more than necessary, and then climbed up beside her. The ride out to the ranch took them through beautiful country. Spring had painted the hills green and yellow with new grass and wildflowers. The mountains rose in the distance, still topped with snow. Amelia had spent the last 3 weeks looking over her shoulder, jumping at every sound, but something about the vast openness of this land made her feel like she could breathe for the first time. "It is beautiful," she said softly. "It is," Ryan agreed. "I came out here 6 years ago with nothing but a horse and a dream. Built the ranch up from scratch. It has been hard work, but I cannot imagine living any other way now." "You have no family?" Amelia asked, then immediately regretted the personal question. "Forgive me, that is not my business." "It is all right," Ryan said. "My parents died when I was young. Fever took them both within a week of each other. I was raised by my uncle back in Missouri, but we did not see eye to eye on much. When I turned 18, I headed west, never looked back." "I am sorry about your parents," Amelia said. "It was a long time ago," Ryan said, "but I appreciate the sentiment." They crested a hill and Ryan pointed to a valley below. "There it is." The ranch spread out before them, a sturdy 2-story house painted white with green shutters, a large barn, several outbuildings and corrals where horses grazed. It looked solid and prosperous and peaceful. "It is wonderful," Amelia breathed. "Wait until you see inside before you make that judgment," Ryan said with a laugh. "I am afraid my housekeeping skills are not the best." He was not exaggerating. When Ryan opened the front door, Amelia could see dishes stacked in the kitchen, dust covering most surfaces and general disorder everywhere she looked. But the house itself was lovely, with large windows that let in plenty of light, a stone fireplace in the main room, and good solid furniture. "Your room is upstairs," Ryan said, carrying her small bag. "There are 3 bedrooms up there. I use the one at the end of the hall. You can take either of the other 2. They both have decent beds and washstands." Amelia followed him up the stairs. noting the family photographs on the wall, though Ryan had said he had no family. When they reached the landing, she chose the room farthest from his, a small space with a window overlooking the valley and a simple iron bed covered with a quilt. "It is perfect," she said. "There is a pump out back for water," Ryan said, "and the necessary is behind the house. I will have one of the hands bring up a tub later if you want to wash. I am sure you are tired from the journey." "I would like to start working," Amelia said, "if that is all right." "I prefer to keep busy." Ryan looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. "All right, but take it easy today. Just get a feel for where things are. Tomorrow is soon enough to worry about the heavy work." He left her alone, and Amelia stood in the center of the small room, hardly able to believe her luck. A safe place to sleep, food, and work. It was more than she had dared hope for when she had fled Denver. She carefully unpacked her small bag. A change of clothes, a hairbrush, a small Bible her mother had given her before she died, and hidden in the hem of her dress, the last $20 she owned. She tucked the money under the mattress and went back downstairs. Ryan was in the kitchen trying to make coffee and failing rather spectacularly. "Let me," Amelia said, moving to the stove. She found the coffee grounds and got a fresh pot brewing, then started tackling the dishes. Ryan watched her for a moment, then cleared his throat. "I should go check on the stock," he said. "Make yourself at home. The pantry is through there, and there is a smokehouse out back with bacon and ham. If you need anything, just ask one of the hands. Tommy, Frank, and Diego. They are good men." After he left, Amelia worked steadily through the afternoon. She washed all the dishes, scrubbed the kitchen table and counters, and swept the floors. The physical work felt good, purposeful. It kept her mind from wandering back to Denver, to the locked bedroom and the whiskey bottles and the sound of heavy footsteps on the stairs. As evening approached, she found potatoes and onions in the pantry, ham in the smokehouse, and made a simple but hearty dinner. She was just setting the table when Ryan came back in, covered in dust from the day's work. He stopped in the doorway, looking around the clean kitchen in surprise. "I told you to take it easy," he said. "I feel better when I am useful," Amelia said simply. "Dinner is ready if you are hungry." "I am filthy," Ryan said. "Let me wash up first." He came back a few minutes later with his face and hands clean and his hair damp from the pump. They sat down to eat, and Amelia found herself relaxing slightly in his presence. He did not ask prying questions or make demands. He just ate and complimented her cooking and told her about the ranch. "We will be moving the herd to higher pasture in a few weeks," he said. "I will be gone for about 4 days. Tommy will stay here to keep an eye on things and help if you need anything." "I will be fine," Amelia said. "I am sure you will," Ryan said. "But it is good to know someone is nearby just in case." That night, Amelia lay in the small bed and listened to the unfamiliar sounds of the ranch. Horses nickering in the corral, an owl hooting in the distance, the wind in the trees. For the first time in years, she felt safe enough to truly sleep. The next few weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Amelia kept the house spotless, cooked meals that made Ryan and his ranch hands grateful, and slowly began to feel like a person again rather than a target for someone else's anger. The bruises on her face faded from purple to yellow to nothing. She gained a little weight, and color came back to her cheeks. Ryan was kind but careful with her, always maintaining a respectful distance, never raising his voice even when things went wrong. She found herself watching him sometimes, noticing the way he handled the horses with gentle firmness, the way he treated his workers with respect, the way he always thanked her for the meals she cooked. One evening about a month after she had arrived, a storm rolled in from the mountains. Thunder shook the house and lightning split the sky. Amelia was washing dishes when a particularly loud crack made her jump and drop a plate. It shattered on the floor. "I am so sorry," she said, her voice shaking as she bent to pick up the pieces. "I will replace it. I will pay for it." "It is just a plate," Ryan said from the doorway. "Are you all right? Did you cut yourself?" "No, I am fine. I am sorry. I should have been more careful," Amelia said, the words tumbling out in a rush. She could hear the panic in her own voice and hated it. Ryan moved slowly into the room and crouched down beside her. "Hey," he said softly, "it is all right. Accidents happen. I am not angry." Amelia realized she was trembling, her body expecting a blow that was not coming. She forced herself to breathe, to remember where she was. "I know you are not," she whispered. "I am sorry. Sometimes I just forget." "You do not have to apologize," Ryan said, "and you definitely do not have to be afraid, not here." He helped her clean up the broken plate, then made them both coffee. They sat at the kitchen table while the storm raged outside. "You want to talk about it?" Ryan asked. Amelia had been careful not to share too much, but something about the storm and the safe warmth of the kitchen loosened her tongue. "Marcus was charming when we met," she said. "I was 18, working in my aunt's boarding house in Denver. He was a clerk at a bank, well-dressed, well-spoken. He courted me properly, brought flowers, was polite. My aunt approved the match." She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, seeking warmth. "The first time he hit me was 3 months after the wedding," she continued. "He had been drinking and I had not ironed his shirt correctly. He apologized the next day, brought me flowers, swore it would never happen again. But it did, again and again, and each time it got worse." "Why did you stay?" Ryan asked, then immediately held up a hand. "I am sorry, that is not a fair question." "No, it is all right," Amelia said. "I ask myself the same thing. I had nowhere to go. My aunt had died by then and I had no other family. Marcus controlled all the money. And part of me believed him when he said it was my fault, that if I could just be better he would stop." "It was not your fault," Ryan said firmly. "A man who hits a woman is not a man at all." "I know that now," Amelia said, "but it took a long time to understand. The night I left, he came home drunk and angry about something at work. He beat me badly enough that I could not stand. When he finally passed out, I took the household money from his coat, packed what I could carry, and walked out. I have been traveling ever since." "You are incredibly brave," Ryan said. "I do not feel brave," Amelia admitted. "I feel scared all the time. I keep thinking he will find me, that he will drag me back." "That will not happen," Ryan said. "I meant what I said that first day. As long as you are here, you are under my protection. Anyone who wants to hurt you will have to go through me first." The certainty in his voice made Amelia's eyes sting with tears. She blinked them away and managed a small smile. "Thank you," she said, "for everything. You have given me my life back." "You did that yourself," Ryan said. "I just provided a safe place to land." As spring turned to summer, Amelia found herself settling into life on the ranch in ways she had not expected. She started a vegetable garden behind the house, planting tomatoes and beans and squash. She learned the names of all the horses and started helping Ryan with the training of the younger ones. She had always loved horses, and they seemed to sense her gentle nature. Ryan watched her bloom like one of her garden flowers, and he felt something growing in his chest that he had not expected. He had hired her because she needed help, and he needed a housekeeper. He had not planned on falling in love with her, but it was impossible not to. She was kind and funny when she felt safe enough to relax. She had a quick mind and was not afraid of hard work. She sang while she cooked, old songs her mother had taught her. And when she smiled, really smiled, it lit up the whole room. He was careful not to show his feelings. She had been through enough without having to worry about her employer developing inappropriate feelings. but it was getting harder to hide. One July afternoon, Ryan was breaking a young stallion in the corral when the animal spooked and threw him hard. He hit the ground badly, his shoulder taking most of the impact. Amelia, who had been hanging laundry, dropped everything and ran to the corral. Tommy had already caught the horse and Diego was helping Ryan to his feet. "I am all right," Ryan said through gritted teeth, but his face was pale with pain. "You are not all right," Amelia said firmly. "Come into the house. We need to check that shoulder." Ryan tried to protest, but she gave him a look that brooked no argument. In the kitchen, she carefully helped him remove his shirt. His shoulder was already swelling, and a nasty bruise was forming. "I do not think it is broken," she said, her hands gentle as she probed the injury. "But you have definitely done some damage. You need to rest it." "I have work to do," Ryan protested. "The work will keep," Amelia said. "Tommy and Diego can handle things for a few days. You need to heal." She made him sit still while she prepared a cold compress, then brought him willow bark tea for the pain. For the next 3 days, she fussed over him like a mother hen, making sure he rested and ate and did not try to do too much. Ryan, who had been taking care of himself for so long, found himself surprisingly touched by her care. And he noticed that she touched him more easily now, adjusting the compress on his shoulder, checking his forehead for fever, her fear of physical contact slowly fading. "You are a terrible patient," she told him on the 3rd day, catching him trying to put on his boots to go check the stock. "I am going crazy sitting in this house," Ryan complained. "You can sit on the porch," Amelia said. "You can even walk to the barn if you must, but you are not riding today." "You are bossy when you want to be," Ryan said, but he was smiling. "Someone has to look after you," Amelia said. "You would work yourself to death otherwise." Their eyes met and something passed between them, something warm and promising. Amelia looked away first, a flush rising in her cheeks. That evening they sat on the porch together watching the sun set over the mountains. The sky turned gold and pink and purple, and the air was soft with the promise of summer. "I have been thinking," Amelia said quietly. "I should probably move on soon. Find a place of my own, maybe in town." Ryan felt his heart sink. "Why, are you not happy here?" "I am happy here," Amelia said. "That is the problem." "I do not understand," Ryan said. Amelia twisted her hands in her lap. "I do not want to presume anything," she said carefully. "But sometimes I think there might be feelings developing that are not appropriate for an employer and employee." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "And what if those feelings are mutual?" he asked softly. Amelia's breath caught. "Are they?" "I have been trying not to show it," Ryan admitted. "The last thing I wanted was to make you uncomfortable or feel pressured. You have been through so much, and I know the last thing you need is another man making demands on you." "You are nothing like Marcus," Amelia said fiercely. "Nothing. You are kind and patient and gentle. You treat me like a person, not a possession." "You are a person," Ryan said. "An amazing person. You are strong and brave and beautiful, and I have been falling in love with you since the day you fell out of that stagecoach." Amelia felt tears streaming down her face, but for once they were happy tears. "I have been so scared," she whispered. "Scared to feel anything, scared to trust, scared to hope. But you make me feel safe. You make me want to try again." Ryan reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and took her hand. His calloused fingers were gentle on hers. "I will never hurt you," he said. "That is a promise I will keep until the day I die, and I will wait as long as you need. There is no rush, no pressure. We can take this as slow as you want." "What if I am broken?" Amelia asked. "What if Marcus damaged me too much to ever be whole again?" "You are not broken," Ryan said firmly. "You are healing, and I would be honored to be part of that healing if you will let me." Amelia squeezed his hand, marveling at how different this touch felt from any she had known in her marriage. This was comfort, not control, safety, not possession. "I would like that," she said softly. "I would like that very much." They sat on the porch until the stars came out, holding hands and talking about everything and nothing. It was the beginning of something neither of them had dared hope for. Over the next few months, they courted slowly and carefully. Ryan never pushed, never demanded. He brought her wildflowers from the meadow and taught her to ride his gentlest mare. They took long walks in the evening, and he told her stories about building the ranch and his dreams for the future. Amelia found herself opening up in ways she had not thought possible. She laughed freely, something she had not done in years. She started to trust not just Ryan but herself, her own judgment and instincts. In late September, Ryan took her into town for the harvest dance. It was the first social event Amelia had attended since coming to Yreka, and she was nervous about seeing so many people. "We can leave any time you want," Ryan assured her. "Just say the word." But as the evening went on, Amelia found herself enjoying the music and the company. The people of Yreka were friendly without being nosy, and several of the women complimented her dress, which she had sewn herself from fabric Ryan had bought her. When Ryan asked her to dance, she hesitated only a moment before taking his hand. He led her onto the floor with the other couples, and they moved together to a waltz. "You dance well," Amelia said. "My uncle insisted I learn," Ryan said. "Said a gentleman needed to know how to conduct himself in society, even if we were living on the frontier." "I am glad he did," Amelia said, leaning in a little closer. As they turned around the floor, Amelia caught sight of a man standing by the door watching them. He was tall and well-dressed, with dark hair and a calculating expression. Something about him made her skin crawl. "Are you all right?" Ryan asked, noticing her tension. "There is a man by the door," Amelia said quietly. "Do you know him?" Ryan glanced over casually. "That is James Donovan. He owns the big ranch about 20 miles north of mine." "Why, he is watching us," Amelia said. "It is probably nothing. I am just being paranoid." But for the rest of the evening she could feel Donovan's eyes on her. When they finally left the dance, she breathed a sigh of relief. "I am sorry," she told Ryan on the ride home. "I know I was jumpy." "You have every right to be cautious," Ryan said. "But I promise you, Marcus has no idea where you are. You are safe." Amelia wanted to believe him, but the sight of Donovan watching her had awakened old fears. That night, she had nightmares for the first time in weeks, dreams of Marcus finding her and dragging her back to Denver. She woke gasping, and without thinking, she got up and went down the hall to Ryan's room. She knocked softly, and he opened the door immediately, wearing just his pants and undershirt. "Amelia, what is wrong?" "I am sorry," she said. "I had a nightmare. I just needed to see you to remember that I am safe." Ryan stepped back. "Come in. I will light a lamp." They sat on the edge of his bed, and Ryan held her while she calmed down. There was nothing inappropriate in the embrace, just comfort and safety. "Tell me about your dreams for the future," Amelia said. "I need to think about good things." Ryan stroked her hair gently. "I want to expand the ranch," he said. "Build up the herd, maybe start breeding horses seriously. I want to build a life here that matters, that lasts." "That sounds wonderful," Amelia said. "And I want to do it with you," Ryan said quietly. "If you will have me. I know it is soon, and I do not want to rush you, but Amelia, I love you. I want to marry you, build a life together, have children if we are blessed with them. I want to grow old with you." Amelia pulled back to look at him, her eyes searching his face in the lamplight. "I love you too," she said. "I did not think I could ever feel this way again, but you have shown me that not all men are like Marcus. You have shown me what love is supposed to be." "Is that a yes?" Ryan asked, hope blazing in his eyes. "Not yet," Amelia said gently. I need to do one thing first. I need to legally end my marriage to Marcus. I cannot marry you while I am still tied to him, even if it is just on paper. That makes sense, Ryan said, though she could see the disappointment in his face. How do we do that? I will need to write to a lawyer in Denver, Amelia said. Explain the situation, the abuse, my leaving. It might take some time, but I need to do it properly. I will pay for the lawyer, Ryan said. Whatever it costs. You have already given me so much, Amelia protested. And I want to give you everything, Ryan said, including the freedom to start our life together with a clean slate. The next day, Amelia wrote a long letter to a lawyer whose name she had gotten from the general store owner, who had a cousin in Denver. She detailed the years of abuse, her escape, and her desire to legally dissolve the marriage. She signed it and sent it off, then tried to be patient while waiting for a response. Weeks turned into months. Fall gave way to winter, and the first snows came to the mountains. Amelia and Ryan continued their courtship, their love deepening with each passing day. He still had not kissed her, wanting to wait until she was free, and she loved him all the more for his patience. In early December, a letter finally arrived from the lawyer. Amelia opened it with shaking hands, Ryan standing beside her. He says he has located Marcus, she read aloud, and presented him with the divorce papers. Marcus is contesting it, claiming I abandoned my marital duties and stole from him. That is ridiculous, Ryan said angrily. You fled for your life. I know, Amelia said, reading further, but the lawyer says Marcus is being difficult. He wants me to come back to Denver and submit to his authority, or he will not sign the papers. Absolutely not, Ryan said. You are never going back there. The lawyer says there is another option, Amelia continued. If I can prove the abuse, if I have witnesses or evidence, he can petition the court for a divorce on grounds of cruelty. But it could take time, and it will not be cheap. I do not care what it costs, Ryan said. We will do whatever we need to do. Over the next few months, Amelia worked with the lawyer to build her case. She wrote down every incident of abuse she could remember, every broken bone and black eye and cruel word. It was painful to relive it all, but Ryan was there every step of the way, supporting her, reminding her that she was safe now. In March of 1876, the lawyer wrote with good news. A judge in Denver had reviewed the case and granted the divorce on grounds of extreme cruelty. Marcus had tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Amelia was free. When Ryan read the letter, he let out a whoop of joy and picked Amelia up, spinning her around the kitchen. You are free, he said, setting her down gently. You are really free. I am, Amelia said, feeling like a weight had been lifted from her soul. I can finally start living again. Ryan dropped to one knee right there in the kitchen, taking her hand. Amelia Parker, he said, will you marry me? Will you be my wife, my partner, my love for the rest of our lives? Yes, Amelia said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Ryan stood and pulled her into his arms, and for the first time he kissed her. It was gentle and sweet and full of promise, everything a first kiss should be. They were married in April, in the small church in Yreka with the whole town in attendance. Amelia wore a simple white dress she had sewn herself, with wildflowers in her hair. Ryan wore his best suit and could not stop smiling. When the preacher pronounced them man and wife, and Ryan kissed her in front of everyone, Amelia felt like she was truly starting a new life. The past was behind her, and the future stretched out bright and full of possibilities. The first year of their marriage was everything Amelia had dreamed marriage could be. Ryan was patient and gentle, giving her time to heal from the trauma of her first marriage. He never raised his voice, never demanded anything she was not ready to give. He worked hard on the ranch but always made time for her, for quiet evenings on the porch or rides through the mountains. Amelia threw herself into making their house a home. She painted the shutters a fresh green, planted more gardens, and turned the spare bedroom into a sewing room. She made curtains for all the windows and quilts for the beds. She cooked meals that made Ryan close his eyes in appreciation. And slowly, carefully, she let herself be loved. It was terrifying at first, to be vulnerable again, to trust someone with her heart and her body. But Ryan was endlessly patient, and his love was so steady and true that she felt herself healing in ways she had not thought possible. In the summer of 1877, Amelia discovered she was pregnant. She told Ryan one evening after dinner, and he was so happy he could barely speak. He just held her close, his hand on her still flat stomach, and whispered thank you over and over. "Are you scared?" he asked when he could finally talk. "A little," Amelia admitted, "but mostly I am happy. I never thought I would have children. Marcus did not want them, said I was not fit to be a mother. But with you, I want everything. I want the whole life." "You will be an amazing mother," Ryan said. "Our children will be so lucky to have you." The pregnancy was not easy. Amelia was sick for the first few months, and Ryan fussed over her constantly. He hired a woman from town to help with the heavier housework and insisted Amelia rest as much as possible. "You are being ridiculous," Amelia told him one day when he tried to carry her up the stairs. "I am pregnant, not dying. I just want to take care of you," Ryan said. "Is that so wrong?" "It is sweet," Amelia said, kissing his cheek, "but I am perfectly capable of walking upstairs." In February of 1878, on a snowy night that made Ryan pace the floor like a caged animal, Amelia gave birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him Thomas, after Ryan's uncle who had raised him. Ryan held his son for the first time with tears streaming down his face. "He is perfect," he whispered. Thank you for this gift." Amelia, exhausted but happy, smiled up at him. "We made him together," she said. "He is ours." Being a mother was everything Amelia had hoped and more. She loved the weight of Thomas in her arms, his tiny fingers wrapped around hers, the way he looked at her like she was his whole world. Ryan was a devoted father, getting up in the night to bring Thomas to her for feeding, changing diapers without complaint, singing lullabies in his deep voice. Watching Ryan with their son made Amelia fall in love with him all over again. Thomas grew into a healthy, happy child, full of curiosity and energy. He had Ryan's dark hair and Amelia's green eyes, and he was the light of their lives. When Thomas was 2, Amelia became pregnant again. This time she knew what to expect, and the pregnancy was easier. In the spring of 1880, she gave birth to a daughter they named Grace. Their family was complete, or so they thought. But 3 years later, Amelia found herself pregnant one more time, and in 1883 they welcomed another son, Samuel. The ranch prospered along with their family. Ryan had expanded the herd and started breeding horses, just as he had dreamed. He built a bigger barn and hired more hands. The Yates Ranch became known throughout California for its quality cattle and horses. Amelia ran the household with efficiency and love. She taught Thomas and Grace their letters and numbers. She cooked meals for the family and the ranch hands. She kept the books for the ranch, discovering she had a head for figures. She and Ryan were true partners in every sense of the word. One evening in the summer of 1885, when Thomas was 7, Grace was 5, and Samuel was 2, the family sat on the porch watching the sunset. Thomas was asking his father about the stars, and Grace was showing her mother a flower she had picked. Ryan caught Amelia's eye over the children's heads and smiled, that same warm smile that had made her feel safe all those years ago. "Happy?" he asked. Happier than I ever dreamed possible, Amelia said. Sometimes, late at night when the children were asleep, Amelia would lie in Ryan's arms and think about the woman who had tumbled out of that stagecoach 10 years ago, covered in bruises and afraid of her own shadow. She would never forget that woman, the pain she had endured, the courage it took to run. But she was grateful every day that she had found the strength to leave because it had led her here to this man, this life, this beautiful family. What are you thinking about? Ryan asked, feeling her awake beside him. Just how far we have come, Amelia said. Do you remember the first day we met? When you told me I would never hurt again? I remember, Ryan said, and I meant it. Have I kept my word? Every single day, Amelia said. You have given me everything I never knew I needed. Safety, love, family, purpose. You saved my life, Ryan. We saved each other, Ryan said, kissing her forehead. I was just going through the motions before you came, building a ranch but not really building a life. You made everything matter. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, the way they had for 10 years now, the way they would for all the years to come. As the years passed, the Yates family continued to thrive. Thomas grew into a strong young man with his father's work ethic and his mother's kind heart. He loved the ranch and spent every spare moment learning from Ryan, preparing to take over the operation one day. Grace was spirited and intelligent, with a gift for horses that rivaled her mother's. She could gentle the wildest colt and had dreams of breeding her own line someday. Samuel was the baby, sweet-natured and curious about everything. He followed his older siblings around and peppered everyone with endless questions. Amelia watched her children grow with a gratitude that never faded. She was actively involved in the community now, helping to establish a school in Yreka and organizing a women's group that supported families in need. She had found her voice again, the one that Marcus had tried so hard to silence, and she used it to help others. Ryan continued to expand the ranch, always consulting with Amelia on major decisions. They were true partners in every aspect of their lives, making choices together, supporting each other's dreams. In 1890, when Thomas was 12, a man came to the ranch asking for work. He was rough around the edges, with a mean look in his eye that made Amelia uneasy. Ryan hired him for a trial period, needing the extra hands for the upcoming cattle drive. But within a week, Amelia saw the man, whose name was Jake, grab one of the younger ranch hands roughly and shove him against the barn wall for some minor infraction. She immediately went to Ryan. "He has to go," she said. "I will not have a man like that around our children." Ryan did not question her judgment. He paid Jake his wages and sent him on his way that very day. "I am sorry," he told Amelia. "I should have trusted your instincts from the start. You have a sense for these things." "I know what angry men are capable of," Amelia said quietly. "I will never let that kind of violence near our family." Ryan pulled her close. "And I will always support you in protecting our children. Always." It was moments like these that reminded Amelia how far she had come, how strong she had become. She was no longer the frightened woman who flinched at raised voices. She was a mother, a wife, a rancher, and a force to be reckoned with when protecting what she loved. In 1895, when Thomas was 17, he started courting a girl from town, a sweet young woman named Mary who made him smile. Amelia watched her son fall in love and remembered her own journey. "Be patient with her," she told Thomas one evening. "Be kind. Never raise your voice in anger, never make her afraid. Love is not about control or possession. It is about partnership and respect." "I know, Mama," Thomas said. "You and Papa have shown me what real love looks like. I would never treat Mary the way you were treated before." Amelia was surprised. "You know about that? Papa told me when I was old enough to understand, Thomas said. He said it was important for me to know what you survived, so I would understand how precious love is, how it should never be taken for granted or used as a weapon. Amelia felt tears prick her eyes. Your father is a wise man. He is, Thomas agreed, and you are the strongest woman I know. You survived something terrible and still managed to build a beautiful life. That is real courage. Grace, overhearing the conversation, came and hugged her mother. You are my hero, she said simply. Amelia held her children close, overwhelmed by love and gratitude. This was what healing looked like. Not forgetting the past, but building a future so bright that the darkness could not win. In 1898, Amelia and Ryan celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary. Thomas was now 20 and running much of the ranch operation himself. Grace was 18 and as beautiful as she was capable. Samuel was 15, tall and lanky and full of dreams about seeing the world beyond the ranch. The whole town of Yreka turned out for the celebration. Tables were set up in front of the ranch house, laden with food that the women of the town had prepared. There was music and dancing and laughter. As the sun set, Ryan pulled Amelia onto the makeshift dance floor for a waltz, just like the first one they had shared at the harvest dance 23 years ago. You remember when we danced at that first harvest dance? Ryan asked. You were so nervous. I was terrified, Amelia admitted. Of crowds, of being seen, of everything, but you made me feel safe. You have come so far since then, Ryan said. Look at what you have built. This community loves you. Our children adore you. You are the heart of this ranch, this family. We built it together, Amelia said. I could not have done any of this without you. You saved me, Ryan. You gave me a chance to be who I was meant to be. You saved yourself, Ryan insisted. You had the courage to leave, to start over. I just provided a safe place to land. You provided everything, Amelia said. Love, patience, understanding. You showed me that I was worthy of good things. That changed everything. They danced until the stars came out, surrounded by their family and friends, the life they had built together spreading out around them in every direction. That night, after the guests had gone home and the children were in bed, Amelia and Ryan sat on their porch, the same porch where they had shared so many important conversations over the years. Thank you, Amelia said softly. For what? Ryan asked. For keeping your promise, Amelia said. You told me that first day that I would never hurt again, and I have not once in 23 years. You have been everything you promised and more. Loving you has been the easiest thing I have ever done, Ryan said. And the best. You are my heart, Amelia. You always will be. They sat in comfortable silence, holding hands, watching the moon rise over the mountains. Their life had not always been easy. There had been hard years, failed crops, difficult winters, sick children. But through it all, they had faced everything together, and their love had only grown stronger. In 1902, Thomas married Mary in a beautiful ceremony at the ranch. 2 years later, they welcomed Ryan and Amelia's first grandchild, a little girl they named Amelia Rose. Holding her granddaughter for the first time, Amelia wept with joy. She is beautiful, she told Thomas and Mary. Perfect. Grace fell in love with a horse trainer from Nevada, a good man named Michael who shared her passion for breeding quality horses. They married in 1903 and moved to a ranch just 10 miles away, close enough for frequent visits. Samuel, true to his adventurous nature, joined the army and traveled the world before settling down with a teacher from San Francisco. They made their home in the city, but visited the ranch often. As the new century progressed, Ryan and Amelia slowly stepped back from the day-to-day running of the ranch, letting Thomas take over while they enjoyed their grandchildren and each other. They traveled a little, visiting Samuel in San Francisco and Grace at her ranch, but they always came back to the place they had built together. On a warm spring evening in 1910, Ryan and Amelia sat on their porch, watching their grandchildren play in the yard. They were both in their 50s now, with silver threading through their hair, but their love was as strong as ever. "You ever think about how different your life might have been?" Ryan asked. "If you had not gotten on that stagecoach, if you had not come to Yreka?" "Sometimes," Amelia admitted, "but I do not dwell on it. That life is so far behind me now, it almost feels like it happened to someone else. This is my real life. You, our children, our grandchildren, this ranch. This is what is real." "I thank God every day that you walked into my life," Ryan said, "or rather fell into it." Amelia laughed, the sound as bright and free as a bird's song. "I did make quite an entrance, did not I?" "You did," Ryan agreed. "A scared, bruised woman with nothing but a cloth bag and more courage than anyone I had ever met. And look at you now. Strong, confident, loved by everyone who knows you. You are amazing, Amelia Yates." "I am loved by you," Amelia corrected. "That is what made all the difference." "Your love healed me, Ryan. It gave me the foundation to become who I was meant to be." As the sun set over the California mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Amelia leaned her head on Ryan's shoulder. Their grandchildren's laughter filled the air, and the scent of roses from Amelia's garden perfumed the evening breeze. She thought about that terrified woman who had arrived in Yreka 35 years ago, covered in bruises and convinced she would never be safe again. She thought about the cowboy who had looked at her with kind eyes and promised she would never hurt again. He had kept that promise every single day, and in doing so, he had given her the most precious gift imaginable, the chance to live, to love, to build a life worth living. They sat together on the porch until the stars came out, just as they had done thousands of times before and would do thousands of times more. Two souls who had found each other in the darkness and built a life together in the light. The years continued to roll by, gentle and full of grace. Ryan and Amelia grew old together, surrounded by the family they had created and the community they had helped build. They celebrated holidays together, welcomed more grandchildren, and eventually great-grandchildren. When their 50th wedding anniversary arrived in 1928, the whole town of Yreka once again gathered to celebrate. Amelia was 73 now, Ryan 76, but their love was as evident as it had been on their wedding day. Thomas stood to make a toast. His own children and grandchildren gathered around him. "To my parents," he said, raising his glass, "who taught me what real love looks like, who built not just a ranch but a legacy of kindness, hard work, and devotion, who showed me that no matter what darkness the past might hold, it is always possible to build a bright future. Happy anniversary, Mama and Papa. May we all be blessed enough to love as deeply as you have." The crowd cheered and drank the toast, and Amelia wiped tears from her eyes. "I never thought I would live to see this day," she told Ryan quietly. "A long life surrounded by love. It is more than I ever dreamed possible." "We have been blessed," Ryan agreed. "Every single day with you has been a gift." That night, in the privacy of their room, Ryan and Amelia lay in bed together, his arms around her the way they had been for 50 years. "You remember what you said to me that first day?" Amelia asked. "When I fell out of the stagecoach, I said you would never hurt again," Ryan replied. "And I meant it. You kept your word," Amelia said softly. "For 50 years you have kept your word. I have known nothing but love and safety from you. You gave me my life back, Ryan. You gave me everything." "You gave me just as much," Ryan said. "You gave me a reason to build something that mattered. You gave me a family, a purpose, a love that has sustained me through every trial. We saved each other, Amelia." They fell asleep in each other's arms, the way they had for 50 years, their hearts beating in time, their lives woven together so tightly that it was impossible to say where one ended and the other began. Ryan passed away peacefully in his sleep in the winter of 1932, with Amelia holding his hand. He was 80 years old and had lived a full, rich life. His last words to her were, "I love you. Thank you for everything." Amelia grieved deeply for the loss of her partner, her love, her best friend. But she took comfort in knowing that they had had 54 years together, years filled with more love and joy than most people experienced in a lifetime. She lived another 8 years after Ryan's death, surrounded by her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She remained active in the community, telling stories about the early days of the ranch and the man who had saved her life. When Amelia passed away in the spring of 1940 at the age of 85, the whole town mourned. She was buried next to Ryan on a hill overlooking the ranch they had built together, under a sky as wide and blue as the dreams they had shared. On her headstone, Thomas had inscribed the words that had defined her life. She arrived with nothing but bruises. He promised she would never hurt again. He kept his word. Together, they built a legacy of love, and that legacy lived on in the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren who carried their blood and their values forward into the future. It lived on in the ranch that still bore the Yates name, in the horses that descended from the lines Grace had bred, in the kindness and strength that each generation passed down to the next. Thomas, running the ranch in his old age, would sometimes stand on that same porch where his parents had spent so many evenings and think about their story. About a woman brave enough to flee from danger and a man kind enough to offer her safety. About how love, real love, could heal even the deepest wounds. He told his own grandchildren the story, wanting them to understand where they came from, what their grandmother had survived, what their grandfather had built. "Remember," he would tell them, "that no matter how dark things might seem, there is always hope. Your grandmother proved that. She started with nothing but bruises and ended with everything that matters. Love, family, purpose, and peace. That is the Yates legacy. That is what we carry forward." And so the story lived on, passed down through generations, a testament to the power of kindness, the strength of love, and the possibility of healing. It was a story that began with a woman tumbling out of a stagecoach and a cowboy making a promise, and it ended with a legacy that would last forever. In the dusty streets of Yreka, California, in the wild and untamed days of the frontier, two broken souls had found each other and built something beautiful. They had proven that love could conquer fear, that gentleness could overcome violence, that the future did not have to be defined by the past. Ryan Yates had promised Amelia Parker that she would never hurt again, and he had kept that promise every single day of their lives together. It was a simple promise, but it changed everything. It gave a frightened woman the courage to hope, to trust, to love. And that love had rippled outward, touching everyone it reached, creating a family and a community built on foundations of respect and care. Their story was proof that in even the roughest times and places, kindness could flourish. That one person choosing to help another could change the course of countless lives. That love, true love, was worth fighting for, worth believing in, worth building a life around. And so the sun continued to rise and set over the Yates Ranch, over the house that Ryan had built and the gardens that Amelia had planted, over the graves on the hill where they rested together for eternity. The land endured as it always had, as it always would. But it was marked forever by the love story that had unfolded there, A love that proved that even in the Wild West, with all its dangers and hardships, the greatest adventure of all was opening your heart to another person and building a life together one day at a time.